pause a moment and look around the room that you're in. Do you have a roof over your head? Do you have a piece of furniture that you're willing to sit on and actually have bare skin touch? Do you probably have running water and heat? Appreciate that. Now pause and think of a woman who has a young daughter, and when her daughter's father left her, her reaction wasn't sadness, wasn't woe is me, it was, I expected that to happen. She had such low self-esteem, she assumed the father of her child was going to leave her. She also lives at home with her parents, where she's lived her entire life. She never thought she could find a way to move out of her parents' house. She also has cerebral palsy. And because of this, she has limited use of her legs, so she's actually confined to a wheelchair. But because of her house, because of the house of her parents, she actually has to crawl up the stairs on her hands and knees just to get to bed every night. Now, think of 1,000 people, just like you, those of you who are watching this, who decided they wanted to help, but they didn't know how. They found out about an organization that builds simple, decent housing for people who need it, for people like this young woman with cerebral palsy and her daughter. 1,000 people, 3 states, 50 houses, 1 week. This is what happened during the Easter morning build and also later on during the Jimmy Carter Work Project for Habitat for Humanity. I had the pleasure of helping organize these events and giving 50 families a place to live. Now think of a family. 5 kids, 2 adults living in a 2-bedroom house. Not even a house, really. It's a 2-bedroom trailer, for best way of describing it. So they have the 3 daughters living in one room. They have the 2 sons living in another room, and then the parents sleep together on the pull-out couch at night. The parents went into the daughters' room one night to go and just get them for dinner, and what they heard were their daughters having a conversation about why they don't have a lot of friends in school. They felt very lonely, and the only people they ever talked to were each other. And the reason for this was they were afraid that if they made friends, their friends would ask to be able to come home and do a sleepover, like any teenage family would do. But they were afraid kids would ask to do that, and then they would have to explain why that couldn't happen, because these 7 folks were living in a 2-bedroom trailer. Now, take a moment and imagine you have 50 basically homeless men. They sleep in tents every day. The only way they get a job is if they stand by right next to, the hardware store and hope somebody comes by and says, hey, I need someone to do some day labor. These homeless men realized they were doing the best they could, and one gentleman said, you know what, you have skills. You can do carpentry, you can do electric. Will you help us help other people? So for this family of 7, their home was built for them by 50 homeless men. The ones who couldn't get day labor jobs would go to this house and volunteer to build a house for a family who needed it for their self-esteem and so their kids could have friends. This is what people are capable of. This is what you are capable of. Doesn't mean that you have to build houses for people who need it. It doesn't really matter what it is. I just want you to take a moment and pause and think about, what is the one thing in the world that you know you can help to make better? It just takes simple, decent acts for you to make a difference in people's lives. So you just need to take a moment, decide what it is that you want to see different in the world, and start taking action towards it. Whatever it is, and however much time you have to commit to it, take time to make a difference in this world by using your skills to help others. You can do that.